Welcome, everyone, to DomeFest West's Fulldome Forum. Today's topic is From Retro to Revolutionary, the Revival of Planetarium Laser Shows. This is going to be an awesome one, I guarantee it. I'd like to hand it over here to Ryan Moore, who will be our moderator today. Come on, Ryan.
Hey, thank you so much, Ed, and thank you everyone for joining us. Man, I could see already so many awesome names in the attendee list. So thank you all so much for joining us. It's really exciting to see so many venues joining this call, because I think the venues are going to have probably the best questions out of anyone on how to really make this work for your specific case. And laser systems, as they have been throughout the years, kind of in some ways become a pun, and even there's different episodes of TV made off of the lasers shown at the planetarium. It's a major point of growth and a major point of excitement that a lot of institutions can get great value from. So super excited about this conversation. Go ahead and please drop in the chat your name, where you're from, say hi, feel free to chat in there. There's also a Q&A function you'll see, and we're just really, really excited. But anyways, let's jump into today's conversation about lasers, how lasers can really bring value to your venues, to your individual science centers. And to actually start this off, I would love to bring up one of the most prolific laser evangelists, Jay. Go ahead and jump on, Jay. So Jay Heck, you may know him already from Laser Fantasy. He has been doing this for years and years and years. Oh, look at that. We already got people shouting you out in the chat. But yeah, Jay, do you want to go ahead and start this for and kick us off on how you got into lasers and your journey?
Hi, everybody. I'll just want to say hi and thanks for coming, and I'll just go right into my slideshow here. So thanks, Ryan and Ed, for putting together this forum focusing on laser light shows. My name is Jay Heck. I'm the co-owner and creative director of Laser Fantasy, which has been creating planetarium-style laser light shows for nearly 50 years. Laser shows are proven to be adaptable and creative option that can complement existing dome programming. I like to begin by showing a short video to help illustrate what it is that we do. So laser light shows in planetariums as a business started with Ivan Dreyer and Laserium. Floyd Rolfstad, who was the founder of Laser Fantasy, had been experimenting with lasers and studying optics in college. he took a trip out to LA with some of his friends to see a laserium show at Griffith Park. After being blown away by the show, on his way out, seeing the long lines of people waiting for the next show, he had an epiphany and realized that's what he wanted to do with his career. So Laser Fantasy was born in 1977, and Floyd and his team proceeded to develop laser shows and elaborate projection systems. The photo on the right shows Ivan visiting Floyd to see the massive Laser Fantasy system that projected across the mile-wide Grand Coulee Dam in Washington State for decades. When I started making laser shows for Laser Fantasy back in the early 90s, laser projectors were as large as a kitchen table, weighed hundreds of pounds, required 3-phase power, and water cooling. Our new lasers are about the size of a toaster, they're air-cooled, and run off of a standard outlet. Early shows were created with analog image synthesizers and Amiga computers, then recorded to reel-to-reel tape for playback. Now, we simply produce and playback shows from computers, and this provides tremendous flexibility in changing playlists, creating imagery, live performance, and sending download links for shows is way better than shipping tapes and drives around. The basic fundamentals of how laser graphics and beam effects are generated hasn't really changed much. We're still bouncing laser light off of tiny wiggling mirrors. The details of how we control those elements have evolved greatly and are being continually refined. For safety reasons, we install our projectors out of reach of the public. And for some theaters, that's impractical. So we've recently introduced our safety laser force field, which senses if someone enters a restricted zone and shutters the nearby lasers. Modern laser systems are far more efficient and much easier to maintain and operate. And they're more affordable, which allows for adding more lasers into venues, creating more elaborate displays than ever. There's no normal pipeline for becoming a laserist. Most of the people I know in the industry ended up there by happenstance. That being said, your background can help a lot. Personally, I went to art school. I worked in design and advertising for a while before I joined the art department at Laser Fantasy. Our strategy was to hire artists and train them on the hardware rather than hiring technicians and teaching them how to do art. So a background in art, animation, and design helps tremendously on the creative side, as well as experience in music, stage, and theater. They're beneficial as well. On the technical side of things, designing, building, maintaining, and operating laser systems, knowledge in optics and electrical engineering are obviously very helpful. And again, working in the AV and production realm develops skills and connections that can help lead to working with lasers. Working in planetariums is kind of a laser cheat code. If you get a job in a dome that has lasers, you can immediately jump in the deep end. You can tap into all of your dome experience while enhancing laser shows with planetarium effects, and you'll quickly get up to speed on presenting laser shows. Laser light shows attract audience demographics who may not normally attend astronomy or science programs. They add entertainment programming alongside educational content, making the theater more versatile. Fans come together to experience their favorite artists combined with immersive visuals that they can't get anywhere else. We encourage our venues to use all the effects in their dome to make the shows feel live. Audience feedback brings it closer to a concert than it is to a movie, which inspire audiences to return more often. And for venues who can support live music, enhancing a band's performance with laser effects is a powerful feature. And it's a safety net because if your main video projection goes down for any reason, laser shows can keep the theater operational, avoiding downtime losses. Sell tickets to laser shows just as you do for planetarium programming. You get a different audience, but same venue. Some science centers do a small upcharge to add a laser matinee to admission. Lasers are an ideal option for corporate events and group functions and parties and club gatherings. Lots of theaters sell laser messaging for proposals, birthdays, anniversaries, and adding a logo sequence to a corporate event is a great add-on. Uh, Introducing concessions and merchandise is also a good way to boost per guest revenue. Early laser show marketing relied heavily on radio ads, print ads, posters, and especially word of mouth. Some of these elements still make sense to use, but social media has become the main way to communicate with your audiences. And word of mouth is still one of the best ways to draw more visitors more often. It makes sense for many laser venues to have their own social media channels for the dome that's hosting the laser shows. This way, the feed isn't watered down with general info from the venue, as many laser show fans are not necessarily Science Center fans yet. Of course, cross-pollination makes sense on occasion to share big news in one direction or the other. And the other part of cross-pollination is to tease other offerings. So for example, after a star show, you could play a laser song to advertising the shows coming up. And before the laser show, do a quick intro about other offerings at your venue. Laser shows keep classic music alive for fans of all ages, and current music keeps infusing new fans into the domes. Now, good equipment is important, but people come to the laser shows to experience their favorite artists in a unique way. So a large catalog of well-produced laser shows provides options for different tastes and seasons. So you can rotate your content regularly to encourage repeat visits. Laser shows are a sustainable revenue stream that complements the core mission of many venues. And if you're looking for an exciting new attraction for your theater, I encourage you to explore laser light shows. So once again, thanks for coming today. And if you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them during the Q&A or via email.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay, for giving us that rundown. Everyone feel free to react the chat as well as in the fun little emoticons things you can do. We love Zoom. We have to deal with it, so we have to end up just loving it. And there are fun ways to make things great. So Jay, thank you so much. Don't go away too far. We'll have you back for the full forum. But now I'd love to go ahead and invite Kayla to go ahead and jump on camera. And I'm going to share here a little tiny bit about her. Actually, Kayla is now it's funny because this just changed, and you did talk about how your planetarium name just changed. But Kayla is joining us. She's a producer and observatory coordinator at the Buhl Planetarium, where she spent nearly 10 years creating programs that blend science, storytelling, and accessibility for all audiences. And we're really excited to have a venue perspective. We're going to have Kayla and then Erin join here momentarily, but this is where the rubber meets the road with these laser programs. So Kayla, feel free to share with us the awesome stuff that you have going on and then ways that you're able to really make these laser systems bring value. I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to set up my screen share real quick here. There we go. So hello. Thank you so much for that introduction. I am the producer and observatory coordinator. We are now the Cayman Science Center instead of Carnegie Science Center. We had a really big donation that lent to our name change. In my role, I do wear a lot of hats. My primary duties do find me behind the scenes. However, I'm also one of our presenters, so I don't just make a lot of our cutting edge content. I'm also out on the floor performing all of this cutting edge content. When I think about the mission of planetariums around the world, I think about instilling curiosity in everyone who attends them. One of our first and most crucial steps in this mission is to welcome guests into a space that gets them excited through fun and unique experiences. And there we go. I will have this again at the end for my contact information, but the Buell Planetarium, a little bit of history about us before I dive into how we're currently operating things. We did open our doors in 1939 with a mission of serving our local community. The theater was equipped with the first planetarium projector that was mounted on an elevator, allowing our projector to be lowered into the floor, that gave way to 2 stages in our venue. So we've always been looking outside of just presenting on a dome. Really, how can we welcome other events into our space? In 1979, we took a giant leap into entertainment, and we installed our very first laser system, doing midnight Floyd shows, which is still a staple program to this day. Our system has changed a lot over the years, but our mission remains the same. With a new state-of-the-art laser system from Laser Fantasy, thank you, Jay, we carry on a long-standing tradition of delighting, educating, and inspiring our guests. So a little bit about our current system. Our system features 2 graphics projectors that display our center image. So those are the ones that are mounted all the way in the back. They give you that very center where you're going to see a lot of the animations, things moving. We have 5 laser projectors or beam projectors that are shining overhead. So with a little bit of fog in the room, that gives you that really beautiful wave and ripple effect and really gets audience excited. For our planetarium software, we do have a 10 projector 4K system. With all of our projectors together, it does display at 8K. And then we use NanoCove from ComaCove. Softwares that we're going to be using during our laser shows, we use Beyond for all of our laser software needs. And then we use our planetarium software. So during our shows, it's not just lasers that are being projected. We're using real science data to fly through and get people really excited. But let's talk about our programming. And we've got an awesome photo here. That is from Laser Beetles. It's one of my favorite shows. Now, unlike our planetarium star shows, laser shows are not included in our general admission. We do have an upcharge for those, but we do also offer a member's discount. So it's an extra $7 ticket if you're not a member, $6 if you are a member. But you don't need general admission to the museum to attend a laser show. You can just purchase a ticket just to come to our laser shows. Our museum is open 7 days a week for a large portion of the year. During our slow September, we do shut down to only 6 days a week. And what we found works best for us is kind of this layout here. We do 1 laser show during daytime hours, about midday, Monday through Friday. And then we do 2 shows on weekends. And our first show on the weekends, that's going to be geared towards more family audiences. So we put things like Galactic Odyssey, things that are a little more kid-friendly during that time slot. During our 3 o'clock time slot, we let it go up a little bit in age. That's usually a little more adult-targeted. But before 5 p.m., we only play PG-13 content in our dome. After 5 p.m., all bets are off, and we do a lot more events during those. When selecting our shows throughout the year, we look at what's happening around the city. So are we having any concerts? Are there any conventions, plays, Disney on Ice? And we set our schedule around those things so that we can kind of piggyback off of their marketing as well. And these performances are done live. And that is something that we tote everywhere on social media. We preach this everywhere. These are live performances. It is not just sit back, my presenter takes a nap while you enjoy the show. We are feeding off of your energy. So we invite you to sing, dance. We affectionately call them child mosh pits that happen at the front of the room where kids are really excited. They get up, they dance. We turn on the spotlights just a little bit. But these are all done live. And how we're kind of doing that, we have a fleet of computers in our console. So as we are using all of the side beams live on our Beyond software, it makes it super easy for seamless transitions. We're also using our ChromaCove system, flashing lights, popping them, making everything very exciting. And then we're flying through real astronomical data. We have an Xbox controller that allows us to fly through all of that in real time, which opens up an amazing opportunity for us to interact with our guests. We have a lot of guests come back after the show asking about the imagery that they saw, opening them up to some curiosity. We invite them to come back during the daytime to learn more about those data sets. Some of my favorite to fly through are exoplanet data sets or some of the outer galaxy data sets. So it does spark a lot of curiosity whenever you're in the dome. One of my favorite effects is this here. Jay and his team lovingly installed our system so that our center of our laser beams is actually the sweet spot for all of our scientific data. So some really cool effects that we get to pull off is it looks like the laser beams are coming out of our planetarium software as well. And something that we absolutely love, this has become part of people's holiday traditions. Every year we do run Laser Family Halloween and Laser Holiday Magic. And we are making memories with families, which is one of my most important things. I want everyone to share their love of space, and we get to do that through these shows. Laser Holiday Magic, we have guests who come every single year. They're beating down the door to come see this show, and it often sells out within the first hour of us being open in a day, which is really impressive. And it's also a very inclusive program. Jay's team lovingly selects a lot of songs that are not just Christmas focused, but we also have Kwanzaa and Hanukkah featured in the show as well. And we're going to zoom right through. Here are some events that we find work really, really well in our planetarium. First and foremost, we have our staple Floyd and Friends. This is a 4-hour laser evening event that ends with a Best in Floyd laser show. We do select all of our themes. So all the bands that we play in that 4-hour period will be based off of a theme. Sometimes it's Galentine's, Battle of the Bands, kind of what's going on with local culture. But this opens up an amazing opportunity for cross-department collaboration. So we have a cinema that is attached to our Science Center. The cinema pairs films for those evening events that go with our laser shows, opening up a lot of really amazing opportunities. We also have had success with setting up concessions. Jay mentioned that a little bit in his presentation. This is a great opportunity for additional avenues of revenue. We set up a very small concession stand. We don't let too many snacks in there, but some sweet and salty snacks, particularly on 420. And we let them come into the theater, and we also have the ability for setting up merchandise booths. We also do local concerts. So we do have a local artist who has performed in the planetarium. The front of our room, he sets up a stage, and we perform live laser shows whenever he debuts a new album. We've also partnered with the local orchestra, where they have wanted to play some of their songs, and we would do lasers in correspondence with that. Coming back, one of our biggest events, laser karaoke. It's an amazing event. We do require a 1-hour minimum time slot added on to any evening event that's booked into the Science Center. But we project the lyrics onto the back of the dome using Carafun. We do have a Carafun subscription. We shine the spotlights through so you become the star of the show, and our staff controls the lasers live based on what you've selected. And then last but certainly not least, we have weddings. Weddings are a very great potential for revenue that a lot of people may not consider in their space. One of the things that we do is an add-on for our standard wedding bookings. You can add on a 1 to 4 song laser show. This helps kick off your party, or we just had a couple this year. It's the first time we've had it happen. The couple wanted a few moments to themselves, so they kicked all of their guests out of the wedding, and they enjoyed the 1 to 4 song laser show, just relaxing while the guests got started with their cocktail hour, which was really special. So that is a little bit about how we handle programs. How we handle programs here in the Buhl Planetarium. I hope you enjoyed that talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kayla. There will be chances to ask Kayla direct questions. Love the karaoke. I don't know if I have heard of that much before, so that was definitely something we'll come back to. Thank you, everyone, for the fun little reactions. Yes, thank you, thank you. All right, we're gonna jump in with Erin next. Erin, if you want to go ahead and come on camera. Essentially, Erin comes at the high recommendation of her I think the exploration place director, Adam
President.
Boyle's president. There you go. But essentially, yeah, singing your praises like crazy, and all of the good stuff you're doing there at the exploration place in Wichita, really turning exploration place into a destination. And yeah, anyways, Erin, let me just have you take it away from here and share all of the really cool stuff that you're doing and how you can tie it in with your direct local market and events. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. So I am the Vice President of Marketing here at Exploration Place. So my role gets split into many things, of course, like many of you wearing many hats. So it's kind of neat that I get to be the one to choose the programming that we have for the Dome, and then I get to carry it all the way through execution of marketing it and dreaming up the ideas and the events. I definitely do the Dome and specifically the laser show in combination with our ID department. So our IT manager is on one of the in the gallery today watching this with me. So we're also messaging. You might see him pop up on the screen in the corner here. So Exploration Place is in Wichita, Kansas. The museum itself opened in April of 2000. When it opened, it did have a dome theater installed into it, so we've had it the whole time. Our annual attendance for visitors to the museum in general, for anything that we do, is about 400,000. And historically, since it's declined in the attendance into the dome itself, since I started in July of 2021, we have really wanted to have a revival of people going into the dome and using it in different ways. And so it's been a strategy of our whole team. It's championed by our president of our museum, which is Adam Smith. And then a couple years ago, I took over as leading all of the dome stuff. So our dome is a little bit different than like the pictures that Kayla was showing, because we don't have a flat floor. We are on a raked seating in a stadium style. We have 187 seats in our dome. The screen itself is 60 feet across. So it's a big, massive screen. It doesn't go quite all around you, but very, very close. You can't really see the edge if you're looking forward, but it's a little bit different. So we also invite people to sing along, but you absolutely can't stand up. If you leave the dome, you can't come back. There's just some safety issues there. So we make some jokes about, dancing in your seat. So we wanted to get more people in the dome, and we wanted to leverage this asset that we had. We are the largest dome theater in Kansas. And so not just with the daily programming and the educational videos that we were playing, but how else can we utilize this space? There was a lot of time available, especially nights and weekends, when the dome wasn't being used. There's always been shows running in the dome during the day. So we've gone through some different iterations over the last few years, but where we are at right now, we've made a few significant changes to get more people into the dome. So the first one is that we switched to 25-minute shows, including our laser shows. So everything during the day from we're open every day of the week, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and until 8 p.m. on Thursday. All of those shows we run at 25 minutes because we're getting the dome popular enough that I have to turn content over faster so I can get more people through it during the day. Previously, we only had, out of all the people that were coming to the museum, of those 400,000 people, we would only have 15%, 20% were going to the dome, and we were trying to raise that. Another strategy that we did is we changed what that content is. So not just having the movies that you probably recognize, we actually made our own movie. So this Kansas movie you're seeing on the screen, that is a film that we actually created, produced, all in-house, and it's something that we show every day in the dome. So it's about Kansas itself. Last year, in April of 2024, we rented lasers from Laser Fantasy, the whole equipment, all the equipment. Jay and his team brought it out to Wichita, set it up for us. And for 5 weeks, we ran Laser Taylor Swift only, just Laser Taylor Swift in the dome. And it was wildly successful. In those 5-ish weeks, I think we sold around 5,000 tickets, which I'm chasing that dream still of doing that again, but it was very, very popular. So we knew that the laser shows had potential. When we went ahead and installed it permanently in the dome, we bought the equipment, we set it up, we get our shows through Laser Fantasy. We're still kind of figuring out what the rhythm works for us, but where we're at today, what is working really well for us today. In July, we changed the model that we were using with our guests. Before, it was more of an a la carte method where you could buy a ticket just to see our exhibits, or you could add on the dome, or you could get this, like all day access pass and get dome life science shows and exhibits. And the vast majority of people were still buying exhibits. So for an adult, we're getting a $12 admission. In July, we changed it. And the way that you can come in the museum now is all access. So our minimum spend to get into the museum is $20 for an adult. And now we need these 4 pillars. We have exhibits, dome movies, laser shows, and life science shows are these 4 pillars that we always say them all together. That's what you get. That's where the value is. All of our members now get dome and laser shows included in their memberships, and we also raise membership levels by 50%. We're building an expansion outside, an outdoor playground. Does not do it justice. It's a 6.5 acre playground outside, 10 individual playgrounds in there. That's going to be a 5th pillar when it opens. But we're trying to always sell the value. And to do that, putting the laser shows as their own, it gives you a whole leg of the value that they provide. The other strategy that we went to is that on the first Friday of every month, we have new content. So we have a new show, a movie. So Sea Otters just opened on December 5th. We also started a new laser show on December 5th, which was Laser Holiday Magic. November's laser show was Stranger Things. And because the season just came out, we actually held it over. We're going to do it for 2 months, maybe 3 if it's still popular with Stranger Things being released in batches. So we put a lot of strategy into the dome and how we did it. We did it wrong. I programmed the laser shows in a way last year we tried to put a bunch of different shows at different time slots, and it got very confusing, and it was hard to sell. It was hard to market. Our front office our front ticket counter was always confused what we were offering. So we simplified it, and we have 1 featured laser show a month. And then we have 1 new dome movie every month. So we're going through content more, and it's seeing a significant rise in how people are attending the dome. So I'll talk about that in just a minute. When we do the laser shows, we do like Kayla does, and I try to make, pick something that's really relevant for the moment. So of course, Laser Stranger Things absolutely makes sense right now. It's done very well. People are excited about it. We're able to do some cool marketing with it. It's been successful. When we're marketing it and writing this, we try to write it from that fandom of being excited about, to speak to the people that are actually interested in it. I don't try to sell it to people that aren't into Stranger Things. As far as the laser shows, we're actually tapping into a very different market, not the older people that are like my age and above that are used to laser shows, but we're actually going for middle school. We want kids to want to go to the dome. We want stuff that parents will also enjoy. So things like for us that have done really well, Taylor Swift will always do well. Stranger Things, the movie Magic, those kinds of things are the program I'm using. I'm not using rock bands. I'm not using some of that older stuff. There will probably be a place for it for evening programming, but right now this is working really well for us. We also have activated the dome in a different way by putting other kinds of shows as special events in the evening with separate ticketed things. So we did Pink Floyd's show, Imagine Dragons, we're starting this month. They're not specifically laser shows, but they're definitely music-based. I think some of you are familiar. I actually saw someone had a Beautifica poster behind them in their thumbnail, that kind of stuff. These things are all separate ticketed events that generate their own revenue. They are not included daily admission. They're not even available during normal hours. They're extended hour type of programs. So activating the dome in a way that is above and beyond what we've been doing. Then we have these great laser shows, and some of them just lend so well to be able to do more with them. So last April, and then again last November, this is both 2024, when we had Taylor, we did an event called Karma is a Party. So we were kind of, obviously near the licensing stuff without wanting to make it literally a Taylor Swift themed party, but that's what it is. This was a separate ticketed event. I think it was like $25 a person, maybe 18 for kids. And the idea is that they would come in and do a bunch of activities before the show. So about 1 hour before the laser show, they came in and there was photo backdrop. We built friendship bracelets. We loaded them up with glowing headbands and bracelets and all those things. We played games that we themed towards Taylor Swift kind of lore. And we sold out every single time we've done this event. We've sold out and people are asking for more. I am so excited for K-pop Demon Hunters because it is like an obvious answer that we're going to be doing this again. So we'll be doing a K-pop Demon Hunters. I am bugging Jay to tell me a date so I can get that planned, but we're going to be patient. It's going to be super successful. We also like to focus on how do we integrate food and beverage into these things. So food and beverage is a big focus of the museums this next year, several years. So for this one, we did have Taylor Swift themed cookies that they could purchase. That's what you're seeing. The thing that looks like a photograph on her lap. This is a guest posted this and we borrowed it for our archives. That's a cookie. And then the drink had some type of theme. There's a flashing ring pop on it. And so we tried to do a little extra for that. We wanted to make it an actual concert experience. So they all got these lanyards that hung around their neck that had the Karma's a Party name on it. On the back of it was the different activities they could check off to make sure that they got it all in. And then after all that was done, we moved them in the dome and did a full 45-minute laser show. And that was the last thing, which also worked really well because then we could clean up the event. So by the time they came out of the laser show 45 minutes later, our team was done and we could wrap everything up, which really helps me do these extended hour things. So we have used the dome for other things like this. They are not laser show related, but our dome screen is 60 feet and we have played other just pop culture movies in there, did events around them. You can tell we had people, the ones in the Hocus Pocus, these were guests. These were not the people that I hired. I had hired cosplay, but they dressed up and came. And we've done it for all sorts of things. And then the results of all of this, now with the daily programming added the laser shows, we went from having maybe 20% of people go to the dome, where the last month that I saw the stats, it was closer to 40%. So the dome is doing really well, really popular. Also, by offering this added value, it absolutely allowed people to appreciate. We didn't get any pushback. When we raised our prices and went to $20 for an adult to get in, when we raised our membership by 50%, and they now got the dome included, they're more excited of what they get than worried about what they're spending. And right now in 2025, I was nervous with those, because I'm the one that has to field all the comments and the questions on social media and inboxes. And it went really well. People are loving the dome. And we are absolutely looking at what's next. Where are we growing? How else are we going to integrate this stuff? What shows are we bringing? I'm excited. Jay and I are talking constantly. I appreciate he keeps putting out new content. So that is where Exploration Place is at. This is my contact information. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see the chat better. Sorry, I'm not the best on this.
Awesome.
Do we want to answer questions now or later?
We'll go ahead and answer questions later once we get into the forum. But thank you so much for bringing the receipts. Huge round of applause. That is absolutely incredible results that you're able to share with us. And we will definitely get more into that. But let's go ahead and jump into our last, or introduce our last panelist for today's program. And many of you may already know him. We've had a kind of a theme so far in the presenters that they are very attached to a certain system, a laser fantasy system. Well, and we love it, but we want you to know that there is a whole world around this type of content. And this is where I turn it over to Glenn. Glenn, feel free to turn on your camera so we can see you. And then, take it away.
All right, well, thanks to all the people who presented before me. You covered pretty much all the bases. It's great to hear some of the stories, especially the Buhl Planetarium. I have a special fondness in my heart. That was, as a system designer at Sky-Skan back in the 90s, Buell was the first planetarium I did from scratch, the whole design. So that's always been a special place in my heart. course, Jay touched already on laserium. Of course, laser shows were born in planetarium, so they sort of belong there ever since. And of course, in the very beginning, mostly it was just the large planetariums who had these massive laser systems. Griffin in Los Angeles and Hayden in New York, and Gates in Denver. London was the first one, I believe, in Europe. And of course, the massive systems that they were back then, you can see typical control panel here. I think that's even in a museum somewhere now. Yeah, Tangerine Dream was meant to be in lasers in a planetarium. And of course, it was Pink Floyd came later. This was all even before people knew who Pink Floyd was. And it was, of course, a lot of posters and was the ways to promote your shows. And there's really some cool artwork out there. And a lot of it's collectible today. You can find on eBay and other places. In Europe, you kind of do things a little differently. If for all of you who don't know that, I'm sitting in Germany right now. Sky-Skan is based near Munich, Germany these days, although we still work worldwide and work very closely with our team, SIA Tech, out of the US. Hamburg is one of the larger laser systems in Europe. And one of the things we can do in Europe is actually scan the audience, or at least in Germany, not everywhere in Europe, but in Germany, we're allowed to scan the audience, although there's been a little bit of pushback on that in recent years, where the laser beams have to be a little more defocused and whatnot, just because if somebody says, I used to see better before the laser show, and they have a lawyer, how are you going to fight that? So anyway, Hamburg's been quite famous with their laser shows. Nuremberg Planetarium as well. We work together also a little bit different than the way some of the shows are done in the US. We actually worked together with several bands over the years. We worked with Queen back in 2000 and made a show called Queen Made in Heaven, which has been quite popular in Europe. And there's a new Queen show hopefully coming at some point. We've been talking about it for a long time, but hopefully something will be coming soon. We also worked together with Genesis years ago at the Munich Planetarium and a couple other bands. And that's worked out quite well. And a lot of those shows ended up getting distributed. Experimenta, for if you don't know, in Heilbronn, they have a cool dome where they have a flat screen and a dome, and the whole theater rotates. So it's a tilted dome, and in one direction it's facing into a flat screen, and in the other direction it's in a dome. And there they have also a laser system and quite a nice sound system, and do quite a lot of laser shows there. And here you can see audience scanning again. We've been recently starting to work with a company out of Slovakia called Kvant. Of course, today lasers are solid state. You can pack a whole bunch of stuff into one little box. Most of the systems run pangolin and are pretty modular and allow you to place lasers just about anywhere you want, which makes it a lot easier. And they're also a lot smaller and use less power. Another cool thing is you can just turn them on and off at will. The old laser systems really took a while to get them fired up and warmed up, and all the scanners and everything settled down into your calibrated system. And today, that's all a lot more easy. So you can really, as some of the presenters mentioned, at the end of a show, do a quick laser segment or insert a laser sequence somewhere else in a program. Another popular company in Europe was HB Laser, also with their laser cubes and small packaged laser systems. And then, of course, Lobo, this is the system Hamburg has in their famous Lacon special parallel processing computer for their laser system. They don't really rely on Pangolin, as I understand, and have their own operating system. And of course, Jay, talking about Laser Fantasy in the US, it's probably has a good monopoly on the market. I don't know if Jay's got anything over here or not. I haven't seen any, but I think today, with the way everything's so compact and solid state, it should be not too difficult to extend overseas and export. Pangolin, of course, is a system that most of the people are using today, and there's the authoring software. In Europe, it tends to be more planetariums make their own shows and organize things. I don't know if it's because distribution internationally is a little more difficult with music rights or not, or why, or it's just a cultural thing. But here, planetariums tend to make their own shows themselves, and it's not so much a subscription service that I'm aware of, but there might be some exchange going on. Copernicus Science Center in Warsaw also has some amazing laser work. They've won quite a few ILDO awards with their work, and they have a really creative team. And of course, in the US, there's also in Miami, Florida, it's one I'm aware of. That was just looking at their website and looking at the different things they have. They have a mix of songs in one laser show, which seems to not have a specific theme, but maybe just movie themes. Of course, lasers are typically installed in a pattern in the front of the theater. You might have a mirrored pair of beams to do beam effects. A mirrored pair means it's two lasers that sort of work opposite each other. Whatever the one does, the other one does the other direction. So you can use one controller to control two beams. And then there's a central projector for more beam effects. In the rear, typically have a couple other projectors to do animations on the front of the dome. And of course, there's the International Laser Display Association, sort of holding the whole laser world together. And it's very competitive to go for ILDO awards every year. And a lot of companies and planetariums show off their ILDO awards in showcases. And I haven't attended an award ceremony, but it should be pretty interesting how because they're all judged by videos, actually. People submit videos of their laser shows, and I guess they haven't figured out a way to actually show the laser shows in the judging itself, because it usually takes place in an office somewhere, I guess. And that's about it from our side. Look forward to the Q&A and discussion. And anyway, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Glenn. Let's give a round of applause to all of our panelists. So at the same time, invite them to all come back on. Jonathan, I see you've got your hand raised. If you don't mind putting your question in the Q&A, we will get to that very shortly. Look at all those claps. Look at all those claps. Everyone should be feeling good. Erin, go ahead and jump back on camera, and Glenn, same. We're going to start real quick with kind of an easy question, but a very important question. Essentially, how have each of you, in your own different respective uses of lasers, found it bring value to your venue or to your programming lineup? Let's start with Kayla. We'll jump with you and Erin, and then we'll go in with the gentlemen. So ladies first. Kayla.
Yeah, most certainly. So we have found that it's brought in a lot of guests. It really has. We have hit a new target audience. So we are trying to pivot. Our Science Center has been felt like, especially because we're part of the Carnegie Museum's sisterhood, we're kind of the kids center. It's really pivoting us away from just being kid focused and welcoming many different age groups. Yeah, everyone just says that's just for kids and doesn't come to the Science Center until we do one of these evening events. And then they go, oh, wait, I can come do science too? Yes.
So it really broadens kind of just who you can pull in, the different audiences. That's awesome. Erin, have you found kind of the same thing, or other unique ways that it's kind of provided value as you've added this to your programming roster?
I think it's giving people more of a reason to come and stay in the dome and do multiple things. So yeah, I mean, I think I covered that also just when I was presenting, but laser shows have worked very well for us. They're going to continue to be a part that we're focusing on.
Yes, awesome. Jay, do you want to jump in? Anything you highlight when you guys are selling these systems?
Well, I mean, I think it boils down to laser shows are fun. And so what it is it's just cool, it's fun, and that you want the people that are coming to your venue to walk out of there with a smile on their face, and that's this is one way to do it.
Very good point. Yeah, there's always a lot of smiles. We're doing for Dome Fest West, we're doing a special laser program, and it's something that for years, whenever the FISC was like, let's fire up our lasers, everyone was happy. It was hard to get people out. Glenn, your kind of point of view on what value these systems can bring new venues.
Yeah, I feel there's a new surge in interest in lasers. They had a dip for a while. I mean, the German planetariums have sort of always had lasers, and the shows have changed a bit over the years. They get a little more sophisticated with the technology that's available. But now the small modular systems, we did a quote for, they didn't buy it yet, but a 24-foot dome. So 8 meters. We put together a system for them that was, I think, about $30,000 altogether, with 5 or 6 laser heads, fog machines, and everything.
Wow.
They just got a little nervous that these boxes were so close to everybody, and they just wanted to think about it a little longer. But the technology's there. It's small and compact, and I think it can add something. Sometimes it doesn't always work too well with video because of different kinds of light and different kinds of content, but it certainly can be used tastefully and back and forth with video. Even the 50-year Pink Floyd show that got distributed worldwide, they specifically said no lasers to be used, but I think a lot of people did it anyway. Quietly, and there wasn't a lot of laser police running around, but basically the artistic people at Pink Floyd didn't want anybody interpreting the music or doing anything like that. You were just supposed to license the show and watch it and be happy. So I think there's definitely a lot of potential there.
It shows how powerful lasers can be from detracting from maybe what the video effects normally can provide. There's a lot of really great examples of at the Sphere, the Backstreet Boys integrated a laser in, I think their intro, which was really, really cool, from the back, pointing at the screen and then interacting with the video. So there's a lot of cool things happening.
Could you see it on the screen? Could you see it on the screen?
You would see it hit the screen, and then the screen had video effects playing off of it. So it was
okay. Yeah, so you saw the beams. Yeah,
the beam, and it worked really well. I can't show it on this because we're going to be posting this on YouTube later, but highly recommend. Type in Backstreet Boys MSG Sphere lasers. It's great. Let's go ahead and jump in kind of about how to program or balance the tried and true Laserium Pink Floyd programs with newer programming. Erin, I think you hit it well, so maybe we'll save you to the very end and you can bring any last thoughts. But and here we're gonna go the kind of backwards a little bit. Glenn, starting with you, when you recommend these systems to a planetarium, how do you balance like the hits versus their newer type offerings? Is there a standard operating kind of program that you recommend?
What was the first word? Balance what against their standard offering?
Nostalgic elements, like bringing Pink Floyd lasers into a science center, essentially.
There really isn't a lot of kickback on that anymore. There was more of that when Fulldome first came out, when people started saying planetarium is not a cinema, and or we shouldn't call it a planetarium anymore because it's doing video. And In the meantime, it's been generally accepted that planetariums are a lot more than just astronomy, and even more than just science. It's a place for art. It's an immersive venue where you can experience anything. And good planetariums keep their audience on the edge of their seats. Every week they can come and find something new, and the lasers just add to that. A brand new science center probably doesn't need to open with 5 different things all at once. I mean, they should probably have I remember when we opened Copernicus Science Center in Warsaw, they had lines around the block to get in the science center, and the planetarium was built even with 3D stereo, but they didn't use the 3D stereo projection until the second year. Because they didn't want to disappoint anybody. So if you have like 3 or 4 different shows and you can't get in the show you want, you start disappointing your customers rather than getting them excited. So you just start with one show in the beginning to satisfy demand, and when attendance starts to drop off, then you start adding things to your show schedule. So
Kind of
every
testing it
venue
out.
has a different combination, which really works for them.
That's awesome. Jay, same question to you. Kind of encourage balancing those nostalgic shows that appeal to returning audiences, but with newer like content like Stranger Things.
Well, so I mean, from our point of view, the classic shows are, you know, in our library, and so they're available, and we're creating new shows to support what's going on in pop culture, and every venue kind of finds its own balance with their audience. So every city's got a little bit different tone. Obviously, there are shows that'll play just about anywhere, but I think every city kind of finds what their audiences are responding to. And generally speaking, it's having a good balance. You have the classic shows, and you have the modern shows, and it's just a matter of figuring out what time slots those happen to work at and what days of the week they work well at. You know, there'll be something like a, you know, classic Thursdays or something like that, where you play your Doors and Hendrix and things like that. And then on the weekend, Friday, Saturday nights, you'll play, you know, Billie Eilish. So it, you know, you try things out, you do surveys,
A lot of
and you find out what works.
a little bit of trial and error. Kayla, did you find that as well, where you had maybe something was surprising how well it worked, and then you guys had to go back to the drawing board on programming?
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. I think that happens a lot with any type of programming you're going to do. So lasers, especially being an entertainment based, you're definitely going to do some trial and error periods. But like Jay said, hitting what is happening in your city is a really good tool for you. You're not just breaking out on your own doing this thing. What are other museums doing in your area? What plays are happening? Are there any concerts that are coming up? And kind of cater your events around those. That will help you build your following up. One of the things we found successful was our Floyd and Friends event. So we kind of test some of those more poppy, the Billie Eilish, the Lizzo, in an earlier time slot, but then we still come back and hit you with the Midnight Floyd, which is a tried and true classic, and that one always sells very well.
That's awesome. Erin, you kind of touched on this a tiny bit, but essentially, yeah, how did you figure out what worked best with the newer content and older content? Let's if you don't mind going into detail a little bit more.
Yeah, there's several things. So first of all, I think where you're at is going to make a difference. So being in Wichita is going to be a different answer than other cities per se. And then who our audience is specifically. We are a science museum, but we often get taken as a children's museum. So we have had pushback. I did Laser Pop Rocks. We had a mom that was very upset because she brought her daughter and she was shocked that it was the exact set list we had promoted. But we now have to put, you know, ratings. I either do PG or I do G, just depends on what it is. And that appeased her. But that was a bit of a surprise that we had to deal with. Part of it too, honestly, it has to do with what our team can market well. If it's something that we're having trouble explaining, if we're having trouble getting into it, if we have trouble then it doesn't tend to do as well. So I'm also looking for things that I can do a little more with. Somebody asked, how do we promote this on social media? Looking for those shows that have the pop culture references right now to it's immediately available. I don't have to explain it, have done well for us. So I need to stop looking at the chat while I'm talking. It's hard for me. We did create some actual video content for with Stranger Things. So I have a video producer, and he took the picture of the dome and flipped it to the upside down, and did just a little quick blurby thing in there, and that has done really well on socials. Mostly we do static images, and we're relying mostly on the title art more than anything else. We don't show the actual lasers or the content because it just doesn't translate as well if you're not literally in the dome experiencing it. So we don't do a lot of that in the advertising. So I don't know if that helps at all, but that pop culture stuff, like K-pop Demon Hunters, will go great. I've been asking Jay for some other things, but I like to feed him ideas, and then he pops out with things that we have. So it's kind of a combination of all those different things.
Yeah, I think I've heard a little bit of a common thread: social media. So it sounds like this is deriving responsiveness directly from the community to your socials. Is it pretty active? But this is good for Kayla and Erin mostly.
It's getting there. We are trying to get, so in our institution, our marketing is a separate team, which has been our struggle with our socials, is getting them the knowledge they need. It has been me kind of sending them footage and being like, this is how you should do it. this is how you should post it. But we're getting there. We are building a little bit more of a following. Something that we are going to test out in the new year is doing a small sample with a 360 camera for YouTube. Because like Erin said, it's hard to really grasp how awesome the lasers are in footage if you don't have the right frame rate on your camera, long exposure, all those things. You can't really see that it is all around you. So we're going to test out with a 360 camera and see how that goes.
Cool. I would think socials isn't our most popular success. So socials are definitely, we're choosing shows because being the marketing person, my first mindset is marketing. So that's who I am. If I had to strip away all of my other responsibilities at the museum, I'm going to stay with marketing. So we're picking that. What can I sell? What can I explain? What can I get people excited about? What can my team handle? Where are the strengths on my team so I can add that in? So that's really been nice. And I wanted to also, the exploration place, we do not have a single person dedicated to our dome theater. I do all the programming stuff. It takes probably a third of my time. And then I have our IT manager who's on the call you've seen him popping up in the chat and stuff. We're kind of doing that all with all the other hats we're wearing. We don't customize the shows. We don't add to them. We don't do anything live. The person who runs the show is a part-time person that runs all of the dome content. So if that intimidates you and you don't know if laser shows could work where you're at because you just don't have that robust of a team, we're making it work and finding success without having a robust team. Jay is absolutely a life send. Thor at Buhl Planetarium has been incredibly helpful. Don't bombard him, he won't like me anymore. But those things have kind of gotten us going. Our most effective, we do Google Ads, Meta Ads, organic social posts, and email is still really important to us. And no, we don't have any engagement. If you go to our post, you won't see a lot of engagement. But I love engagement, but what I really love is ticket sales. So I pay attention and look at reports on how the dome attendance is doing, and then also just Google reviews. Watching, we just had someone that said, 5 stars, love the museum. My favorite stuff was in the dome, and I bells were going off. I was happy.
There we go. Yeah. So Jay and Glenn, we'll switch here a little bit. Since you guys are at the beginning of these conversations when institutions are kind of exploring, they're getting laser curious, we might call it. But a lot of times these are mission-based institutions. How do you find are the best ways to bring lasers in and expand the content offering, maybe even the ability? I love your point, Erin, about that it's a small team and yet you're still doing so much with it. But how can venues, the STEM mission-based requirements as well as bringing in this new like programming. Whichever one of you guys wants to take it first.
Why don't you go first, Glenn? I got my heater running and it's making a lot of noise.
Okay, I was going to say Jay probably has more to say on that subject because we come at it from a sort of different perspective, more as an add-on and an accessory rather than a main selling point. Of course, we'd like to sell our main systems most once we're done with full dome or LED and sound and lighting, then we can start talking about laser. But it does, I mean, I think it was Erin, I guess both Erin and Kayla were talking about the different use scenarios in the planetarium, you know, weddings, birthdays, corporate events especially is where lasers can really add into the things beyond what your normal daily shows are. And having that ability to quickly make a logo and put it up there and make it something special rather than just a bitmap on a video screen certainly adds some value to that. And now that the prices are also getting more and more down to earth as compared to what they were, say, 10, 15 years ago, I think it's a lot easier to add this to the package. So
yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll get some feedback from people saying, well, you know, that's not sciencey enough, or it's not educational enough. It doesn't match our mission, which, I mean, obviously they know their mission of their venue best. But a big part of most of those venues' missions is to get people engaged. And so bringing new people in, you know, and having them enjoy their time at your venue is a great way to get them engaged and get them to see the educational things. And then also,
Yes.
We do offer educational laser shows. You know, our core is the entertainment, but we've got a handful of shows. So, you know, it can help sometimes say, well, we can run, you know, Brief Mystery of Time or Great Space Chase or something like that, or Celebration of Flight, in order to help sell management if they're not completely on board.
So there are laser educational programming.
Yeah.
We'll just put that out there right now. All right.
Yeah.
The lasers themselves are physics and science technology in their nature. I mean, you want to take 5 minutes to explain what a laser is at the beginning of the show if you want to get that tied into STEM subjects. I mean, lasers are fascinating, how they work, and what is a laser and what makes them special. And especially now they're powering all our video projectors and everything else. So they're being used to put video signals through fiber optic cables. Lasers are everywhere. So there's certainly a lot of potential there to bring that into the mix, and can't really say it's not educational or scientific at all.
So there is a good case to be made that the management can buy in on lasers, because so many things, like the lasers themselves, as well as, like, in this case, Kathy had a question about like a K to 12 school having lasers in the you would say, hey, let's look at the physics of the light being displayed, as well as the creativity, as well as the education. Is that kind of how you would come at it?
I would say so. I mean, how many planetariums give you an astronomy lesson for 15 minutes, and then as a treat, you do a Star Wars fly, or, you know, warp 5 through the star field, you know, which isn't astronomy at all, and it's debatable if it's even real, but at least makes your planetarium visit fun. So why not, you know, do the same kind of thing with other technologies or other aspects of the theater? I don't know anybody doing that yet, but it seems maybe a logical thing to look at.
No, that's awesome. Let's talk really quickly about Oh no, smart speaker, go away, cancel, cancel. I did not say the word I thought, but anyways, let's talk about holiday shows, holiday programming. Now, I've had a number of people reach out since we're a film festival, provide good leads on programming. Getting holiday shows. It's a little bit tough in the full dome video world, and yet laser shows. I went to was it Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the Clark Planetarium last year, and it was sold out. Let's talk about Christmas laser shows. Erin, Kayla, we're starting with you. Whichever
We
one you
love
guys want to talk. Yeah. Go.
I was gonna say we love a good holiday show. So always say the week between Christmas and New Year's is our busiest week of the year. It is just traditionally everybody's families are in town and they're looking for something to do. So we usually run short 15-minute star shows, and then we sprinkle in 2 holiday magic laser shows. And we open our doors at 10 a.m. We are usually sold out by 10:30. If you're not one of the first 200 people in the building, unfortunately, you're probably not seeing holiday magic. You got to come back tomorrow.
You have consistent sellout within like a short amount of time.
Yeah, we are consistently sold out before the first hour of us being open. Now that we can do tickets online, that's new for our institution, we're selling out quicker.
All right. So yeah, it's the block is getting the tickets into people's hands at this point in time,
Yes.
not convincing them
Do
to
you
come
keep
in.
a contingency for walk-in visitors? Do you only sell a portion online? Not that somebody makes it to the Science Center and everything's sold out as soon as they walk in the door. I mean, that would be
They
disappointment for
do.
them.
So they keep it about 20% can be sold online before the building opens. And then it changes from there. Once the building's open, it's a free-for-all.
Okay.
Erin, do you want to share some of your holiday?
So the Halloween one is more popular for us than the holiday magic is. Holidays always do very well for us for any type of event that we do. We find a little bit more success with things like if you put Hocus Pocus, will absolutely draw whatever crowd you put out there. We do the Halloween thing, like we did a night for adults come and build Legos, sip and build is what we call it. That sold out. Add more tickets, that sold out. Not as much success in the dome, I think, with the holiday shows. We can't. Ours is included. You can still buy a ticket separately. I would never hold back tickets if it sells out. It creates FOMO and it creates drive. So I will always sell something out ahead of time if we get that chance to do it. So
Halloween, there is a whole set of businesses that make millions of dollars that only can sell their product for 6 weeks. And so Halloween is definitely a place here in America, at least, you can make some money. I don't want to speak for Glenn, but
yeah, I'll just throw in that on the rental side of our business around Halloween and around, the holidays or when our rentals are going crazy. So, and of course, basically upon the initial installation of our systems, pretty much every customer gets holiday magic and our Halloween shows. And so then they just have the ability to run those every year, and they're consistently very, very popular.
by
I
itself.
think you just got to follow the Hallmark strategy. I mean, there was a dozen holidays that nobody even heard of, and now there's greeting cards for them. And they made a big business out of holidays, obscure holidays. So there's a challenge for the marketing departments. Figure out what's next month and how can we profit from it, and see if Laser Fantasy's already done a show about it.
Laser Arbor Day.
Yeah.
That is so great. So here, actually, while we're kind of on the topic of purchases, let's just chat real quick about what it takes to actually get one of these systems, just really fast. Kayla, I think you came in with your system already existing. Erin, you did have a system that was built that you guys put in, or it was already existing.
it was non-existent. We rented first the Laser Fantasy, which was great. We were able to get it for 5 weeks because he was booked. We loved it so much. We ended up buying a system put in. It was a big job, Ian, it was a huge undertaking. So I don't say that lightly, but it was definitely an investment of time and money to be able to do it.
And some money. And we'll talk about ROI here momentarily. Jay, how can people get your systems, rent your systems? Do you encourage purchases right off the bat?
Yeah, so I mean, if your theater's never run lasers before, then rentals are a good way to try things out and see how it works and how your audiences respond. And we pretty much custom design the packages for, so we've got a couple on our website. We've got a couple of packages that kind of give you some ballpark numbers. So for a small dome, you can probably get started for about $25K. And bigger domes, you want more lasers to make it a bigger, more exciting show. One of the cool things is the systems are pretty modular. So we have in Kansas City is a really good success story of starting with a single laser rentals, and over the years growing to now they've got a 7 laser system in there.
Wow.
And they're doing great. And so you can space it out over time. Obviously, going in, if you get your funding and you can put a full big system in, you can do a big launch, and that's great. And it makes it a lot easier logistics wise for travel and shipping and all that to just put it all in at once. But it's cool to have the flexibility to have the systems grow over time as your audience grows.
So actually, we've got a question, and it looks like Sarah just jumped in, but $25K, is that a rental or is that for purchase?
That would be an install purchase.
That's a
For a
purchase.
small dome.
$25,000, you can start getting middle-aged men to return to the dome.
Well, you got to sell beer also.
Okay, well, no, that's true. And probably, Erin and Kayla, you probably have actually better data behind. It's not probably just men, it's families, it's whole other things. No, that's Christian. Yeah, middle-aged, that sounds good to you. Hey, same. I invite watch Bob's Burgers. There's an episode about the laserium, and it is very heartwarming. His poor son has like a panic attack because lasers can be scary. But all right, let's jump into the Q&A. Thank you all so much for sticking with us. We're going to be answering your questions directly. There's already been a number of questions answered via chat, so thank you so much to Erin, Kayla, and I think it's just Erin and Kayla that have been in there already. Busy Beavers, thank you so much for that. Let's go to Sarah Schultz's question about curious about showing a teaser of a laser show after regular programming. Her biggest concern is light sensitivity and strobe warnings. They had a couple students who had experienced seizures, so she's a little bit aware of this. How do you navigate flashing lights, very real risks? We'll start with the ladies and then we'll go to the gentlemen. Erin, do you want to take it first?
Yeah, so we do a couple things. The first thing is we do have a sign on the dome doors that address that. So it's like a magnetic sign when you're going to the doors. And then we do announcements that we've created for before the laser shows. We have a set one announcement that's before regular shows because our dome can be very like motion sickness. So it talks about closing your eyes. So it's very similar to laser shows. It talks about if you're having issues, close your eyes, that kind of thing. So that's what we do to mitigate it. We thankfully have never had someone have a reaction to the laser shows. They've left if they've needed to.
We'll take a walkout. As long as there's not a seizure.
If that's what they need to do, we understand.
Yeah. Kayla?
Very similar for us as well. We do have a sign on our door. We do say that these performances are live. They do include flashing lights, all those things. Another step that we take, if we notice that someone, because we do have separate tickets, someone is coming in that has a service animal with them, when they hand us our ticket, we just give a blanket statement of, just so you're aware, this show will feature flashing lights. If that's something we're not okay with, you can head back downstairs and we'll get you your refund and all set away. We've not had any seizures during laser shows. that just has not occurred. We have had one during a regular show. So we are also very aware and very cognizant that that does happen. We have not had any issues with laser shows, and probably because we give so many warnings ahead of time.
Good
And
point.
a little
Jay?
bit is with, so in a regular laser show, there are songs and segments of songs that are intentionally stroby. Like that's part of the programming of it, is to go to the rhythm of the music and follow that beat. The animated songs might be a good way. So if you're doing just like a teaser or something, then playing a song that's more of the animations and cartoons and less of the abstract, I think would lower the risk of that, because the frequencies, the refresh frequencies of the animated scenes change just based on the complexity of the imagery, and so it's not a constant repeating frequency.
Good. Glenn, anything to add?
Not a whole lot.
This is an important topic because I got Ed remembers, he was there. A bunch of us Dome Fest West people went to Sphere for the opening night of Postcard from Earth, and 2 rows behind us somebody had a seizure performance.
I've seen a
And
lot more deal. I think they have a bigger problem with people falling down the steps and cracking their heads, and that's going to be a bigger problem for them. But
true, and we can't really help that, but it is something to keep in mind as a venue
we've
operator.
provided disclaimers, though, of course, scrolling video text saying, please be aware of the following, or at the door, a sign posted, of course, because last thing you want, somebody has a ticket, sits in the theater, then it starts and it says, oh, you're going to get in trouble here. But usually you have to do that in advance, and a sign at the door, at the ticket booth, or even if an usher explains it. If they see particular people coming, handicapped people, whoever, who might be more susceptible, that gets explained to them as well.
Gotcha. So just as long as you make sure the audience knows, whether you're using video projection or even just telling people, sounds like that's the key on this.
I don't know, do lasers, are they known to trigger epilepsy or things like, I know strobe lights can, but I wasn't sure if lasers had the same effect or not. Maybe they have the.
I've been doing this for like 30 years and I've not heard any stories about it. That doesn't mean that they don't happen, but it's not occurring a lot.
Okay.
And I think there's a little bit of self-selection, that people that know that they can be triggered are like, oh, I'm not going in there. But yeah,
the fear of it would be enough deterrent for some, I guess. But yeah, I'm not aware of that.
It doesn't sound like a common occurrence, is what I would say.
We have a little bit of an anecdote in the chat from Sarah Schultz saying that it has happened in a laser show twice, and that it was mostly student staff. So it may not be it's very important as compared to strobes, but important to have a conversation around that.
Some people get what you call vertigo or motion sickness when the whole dome is doing something and you're not accustomed to 360 degrees around you going other than what your brain is telling your body is doing, and that sometimes has effects. And that's where you just have to close your eyes and look down and get back to earth, and then try to come back to where the show was.
Very good point. Is there specific here in the United States? So Kayla, Erin, is there insurance that you need to get? Special laser insurance or anything like that?
I was going to say, to my knowledge,
like
no. Just our standard regular building insurance, to my knowledge. You do need variances from FDA to run lasers, which does include inspections where they come in, make sure lasers are at the regulation height, make sure one of the tests that we do that all of your e-stops are working, that at no point can the beams come down below. Apologies for my corgi. That the beams cannot at any point, if they're moving, go down and hit the audience. But those are the big issues that, or big additionals that you would need to consider.
That's been
I know in
a
Germany, you need to have a staff member who's been laser trained and is certified. There's a safety class and you have to have the certification, and this person has to be on staff.
Gotcha. Okay, so check with your local essentially guidelines and ordinances, but it ranges from not much work to a dedicated staff member.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt Erin? Were you answering something, Erin?
I was just saying our experience is very similar to Kayla's. So I don't know. I've never been a part of a conversation that talked about extra insurance for it. So I don't believe we have anything specific for that. Ian is commenting that yes, we needed the FDA variance. I remember going through that with him. Getting the lasers installed in our dome with that tilted screen and with the audience in there was a lot of work to try to get it to be safe. Obviously very safe. So for us, what that looked like is if you could put your hand up and those lasers showed up on your fingertips, it's not safe. So Ian worked a lot with Jay to find a solution to help our dome be able to do that. But it was definitely through Ian's dedication and diligence to make sure that was that way. We've never had a site inspector come, any of that things. But of course we do have all of our paperwork we registered correctly.
Just in case they do show up, you're ready.
We want to follow the rules. We want people to stay safe.
I was going to say, following up on that, yes, we did have an inspector come up. It is every so many years. I do not remember the year rate that it is, but they will come by and do a random inspection, which is just them coming in. They ask you to go through all the tests. It is very simple, but it is one of those scary FDA agent is coming in.
Yeah, it sounds scary. Whether or not they're actually, whether they bite, that's something to find out. Okay, going to our audience Q&A. Ian, Kathy, I'm going to get to your question here about equipment and licensing prices here in a minute. But let's talk. Ian's got a question about contact information for artists who can produce content in Beyond. So it sounds like Ian's looking for some artist references. Ian, can I introduce you to Jay? Ian.
Well,
no,
Ian is he's my IT manager. He's our IT manager here at Exploration Place. So we use Jay. He does all of our content right now, but we're always obviously looking for
more.
anything else that's out there.
Well, maybe this is actually a great chance. Jay, can you explain the opportunity list for people that are interested in breaking into this space as creators?
Yeah, I mean, one of the nice things is nowadays, it's a lot easier to find other people that are doing lasers and learn from them. And there's lots of YouTube videos and there's forums. There's a Photon Lexicon for hobbyists is a good forum. There's several Facebook pages for laserists and planetarium laserists in particular. So going where other laser people are already discussing things is a good way to start picking up. Again, I kind of come from the school of, if you're going to be producing shows, especially if you're going to be producing planetarium style laser shows, because there's kind of like there's laser shows that are done in clubs and concerts and things like that, and those really tend to be beam heavy shows, and especially nowadays, where there are multiple projectors and they're designed to, like a concert, use different projectors, scroll back and forth, change different colors, do lots of layers and things like that. And that's kind of one direction you can go, like you see at EDM shows. The planetarium style laser shows, we do love having those beams, and that's a fantastic, huge part of the show. But the core of the show is the graphics and the abstracts. And to produce that, it really helps to come from an artistic background, having drawing skills, illustration, animation skills, video production skills, having music skills, at least the capability to figure out what what part of the song is the chorus and what part is the guitar solo and stuff like that, and being able to figure out the timing and stuff like that, that really helps with. But a lot of that is also can just be learned and practiced. So just start doing it.
Let me just ask a technical point real quick. With the new LED lights that are out, some of the LED intelligent lighting is amazing. It almost looks like lasers. You can get really thin beams and really saturated colors. Is that a solution for tilted domes maybe, or areas where the beams start to really get to be troublesome, at least from the front, that they could be mixed together with? Do you guys offer like intelligent lighting with your laser systems?
That's not something we've put in packages. It's certainly an option. For when you're dealing with a tilted dome, we've got a couple of strategies. One of them we've done in a few places, an install in Virginia, an install in Detroit, where we actually mount the projectors behind the dome about 10 or 12 feet off the floor and have a little portal that opens up. So during your films, the dome itself, you can't even tell that there's an opening there. And then when the laser show starts, a little door opens up. It's about a 2-inch opening, and the beams come out of the screen itself. So that's a really slick way to do it. Although it's a big deal for a lot of people to actually cut a hole in the dome. So I understand why some people avoid that. And our new product, the force field, is a sensor system. So as long as your lasers are installed in a way that the audience is removed from them, and they can't touch them, they can't hold their phone and reflect the beam, that's the most important part of it. So if you can designate like the floor area in front of the dome as a trigger zone. So if anybody comes down the stairs and walks towards the laser projectors, they'll shutter. And so then they can't get into the projections.
We've done similar with 40,000 lumen RGB laser video projectors.
It makes a lot of sense.
Dome really down, you don't want people getting within a yard or so of the lens opening at certain cases. So we use the same kind of industrial sensor for that to trigger a shutter.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about pricing. And then actually, here, real quick, everyone, please know that we're going to answer these last couple questions, and then we're going to shift to our open floor lounge. It's where we invite you all to be able to come in. It's a regular Zoom call. Have your cameras on. It's not a webinar like this. And that's where we're going to have a chance to talk a little bit more off the record. We can do breakout rooms, things that are a little more interactive. So we invite you to stay. The link is being put into the chat by Kelly, and a few of our guests will be able to stay as well. But let's just hit these last couple questions. And the stay after the lounge. Oh, sorry, Sarah. The lounge is kind of in the moment, but we hope you'll be able to join us next time. So Mark Rosenthal asks, what are you finding in terms of offering your venues and or systems for bands to create their own experiences mixing their music with graphics? Is that kind of a growth area you're seeing, Jay? People using these systems with bands, like live performance?
It happens. So our customers are on a spectrum of just turn it on and press play to very live shows to actually producing their own shows. So the further you get to the range where you are very comfortable in operating the system and doing live beams and actually producing content, makes it a lot easier for doing something special with a live band or something like that. So there, you can pretty easily load up some beam cues and pretty quickly figure out how to make effects live for a band. The better you get at that and the more efficient you get at that, the more you can offer that as a venue, and working with bands. So you can kind of put as little or as much time into it as you can afford to. So you can kind of wing your way through something and look okay. If you want to coordinate with the band and make something so the visuals actually make sense to what the song is about or something, that's going to take a lot more time. And so it's really up to you and the band to kind of figure out the value of that.
To the venues. But that flexibility is there. Like there's no restriction.
The systems that we're using, the software to play back the shows is the same software that is used to produce the shows. So if you put the time in, so again, I like to be realistic in that there are a lot of things that you can pick up really quickly, but I don't like to pretend that you can produce your own hour-long show with a couple of button clicks. Just like doing video production or, full dome production, it takes skill, it takes time to put the hours in. Now, I will say laser production, in my opinion, is a lot faster and more efficient than, say, video production. So you can get a pretty good looking laser animation way faster than if you're doing traditional cell animation or 3D video animation, generally speaking. So it's a pretty good way, if you're on the creative side of things, to get something from concept to screen in a really fast fashion.
Really efficient. Hey, yeah. Kayla, do you do quite a bit of live music?
Yeah.
Is it something you offer?
It is something that we have done with bands in the past. We've had, I think, 3 album releases in the Dome, where for debuting their album, they came to the planetarium and used that to kick off the whole album. The band set up in front, and then we did lasers in the back of the Dome. So it was a very interesting experience. Something that I would say, if you're a little hesitant on learning the beyond coding, even though that it's really timeline based and it is really smooth, as Jay was explaining, you have a planetarium. Use your planetarium, use the graphics that you already know how to code to help supplement the lasers that you have. Kind of what we've done is set up for laser karaoke generic center beam options that we can overlay with anything that are very optical based. And then we fill in side beams live, and then we have also the planetarium. So if you know how to put images up on your planetarium or do videos that way, that's a great way. And then you supplement with the side beams overhead to give that full experience.
And all of that by the additional fee that is paid to the planetarium for this additional. That's awesome. Erin, are you doing the same a little bit in Exploration Place? Have you gotten into the live performance space?
Not even a little bit.
Not yet. Okay.
Hey. We don't have the capacity for that.
Yeah, and you made that point about having a small team, and yet laser programming by itself, it's not something that will take a huge amount of work.
We're doing some live programming in the Dome. It just doesn't relate at all to laser shows, but like we're going to have a live actual play in the Dome next month, a performance. We've had a string quartet perform in the Dome with a few thousand candles. So we do some things in there. Those are the hardest things to do. So I love a show. I can get the show from Jay, and we do some behind the scenes stuff. They do have some programming they have to do, but then we can play it as many times as possible. It doesn't take as much hands once it's ready.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's get it brass tacks here. And I think this will be our last question before we close the webinar out and head to the lounge. But Glenn, why don't you kick us off? Can you give us some ideas about equipment and content licensing ranges? You don't have to give anything specific, but ways that people can get ideas.
Content licensing, I'm not real good at that because it's not a big, we do full dome content licensing and all, but we haven't really got much into laser show licensing. And And as I said, usually the lasers around here, people tend to do their own productions, or they get a show and they augment it with lasers, or just make their own laser show. Equipment wise, I mean, projectors run anywhere from around $2,000 up to $5,000 or $6,000, depending on the features that are packed in them. And then you have the cabling and the installation costs, fog machines. So as Jay mentioned earlier, a smaller dome, you could probably get up and running with a system that will give you some nice capabilities for about 25,000 installed. And just like with full dome systems, the top end is open. I know planetariums with $200,000-$300,000 laser systems installed in them. Things they built over time. I mean, they don't usually buy that in one swap, but yeah, they keep adding to it and keep adding to it. And you got 50 effects around the dome edge, mirrors and different other kinds of effects. It can get up there, but it's certainly easier to entry level now than it was probably 10, 15 years ago.
Good point. Jay, do you want to pick it up from there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that an average laser install is probably 60 to 80,000. We certainly bigger theaters, budgeting of over 100 grand makes for a more spectacular display. But yeah, it is nice on smaller theaters to be able to get in for 25, 30 grand, something like that. Show licensing, we do both a la carte, where you license shows individually. Generally, our customers are joining our network, so for a monthly fee, they have access to our shows, and that's based on kind of a scale of how big the venue is, where they are, how often they're using them. But those tend to be somewhere between like 500 a month and 1,200 a month, something like that, depending on theaters.
Just to
Gotcha.
put it in a little perspective, the video projectors we all use, professional quality video projectors, run from 30,000 to 100,000 a piece just for a video projector. So having a whole laser system installed for 80,000 is a really good value, I think.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Comparing them directly, there's a lot of bang for the buck that if you put into a laser system. Erin, do you know some of the numbers of, by any chance, that you guys had to sink in to put that laser system or get it commissioned when you guys did during that programming?
What we invested, yes. So we bought the equipment ourselves and installed it because Ian's able to do quite a bit. I think we did it. Ian, he's in the chat, about 30,000, if I were to guess, 35,000 off my memory. Hindsight, I wish I'd have had the money to put it with Jake, because it would have been a hell of a lot easier, and they would have been up and running and had less problems the whole way through. So when we rented it with Jay, Alex came out, and it was just such a great experience. So everything through him, I would absolutely highly recommend. But I think we were able to do it a little bit cheaper, but we did it the less expensive and much harder way.
Okay, a little DIY, but could save the DI dollar symbols. Also, and then Kayla, I guess you're kind of just taking a guess here, so maybe appropriate, but at the same time, maybe you can just talk about how much it costs year over year to maintain.
Yeah, Jay might actually have some better numbers on that, because Jay did our little laser upgrade that we had.
Well, and so their system is actually a gate share. So we offer gate shares, what I guess I should have brought that up at some point. For certain venues where it makes sense for both parties, we provide the hardware and the shows, and they offer the theater and the personnel and advertising, and we split the ticket sales. So that's definitely something that we are. It's not something that we push everywhere, because not every market makes sense. But we like having the discussions to see if it works.
I think I should also note our 30,000 we talked about, we don't have a very large system because of the way our dome is shaped. So we only have 2 graphics lasers and 1 beam, and then we have a hazer. So it's not that complex. I would love to have, somebody mentioned 7 in a venue, 7 beams. I'd love that. We can't really do that safely in our dome.
Yeah, our dome is a little bit larger. Also, with the structure of our dome, we do have a slanted floor, but it is just a very gradual slant, and our dome is flat. So we do have those 5 side beam projectors and then 2 graphics. So we do have 7 in total, giving us a really amazing laser show. And Cody was the one who came out and installed our system. He made sure that every inch of the dome hits with some of those amazing graphics. So you, everywhere you look, your mind is melting.
Way to go, Cody. No, this has been so great. And thank you all for being so open, for being willing to share all of this incredibly valuable information, and really put a focus on how laser systems can bring planetarium venues great actual value. This is a time where funding is a little scary, knowing where you're going to get the additional 150,000 a year to plug your budget holes. This might be a good time to explore giving Jay a call, and seeing if there's a way to essentially open up new markets. Can we all just do a big round of applause for our panelists? And thank you all so much, Kayla, Erin, Jay, Glenn. Thank you all so much for sharing today. Again, I do want to shout out that we will be having our lounge after this. Thank you so much, Kelly. This is going to be moderated by the amazing Kelly Francis. And that kind of wraps up everything here. I do want to shout out to our next Fulldome Forum coming up in January. That will be moderated by Ed Lance. And we're going to be talking about the effects that here and these big, huge, eye-catching LBE experiences, how are they reshaping the landscape for Fulldome video? And it will be a great conversation about that. But we invite you before then to join us in the lounge right after this call ends, which will be here momentarily. Ed, Lance, is there anything else that we should chat about? Or should we send everyone to the lounge?
We're good, Ryan. We're good. Come to Dome Fest West in April.
Yes. Come see lasers in real life. Nice fireworks, Ed. Man, I gotta figure out how you do that. Awesome. We will end this, and then everyone make sure to grab the link right now from the chat, because it will not be available. And we will see you in the lounge.